Well, thank you very much. And those are pretty clear points to bring up because, you're talking about a time that, the year was 1959. And you're talking about the type of abuse or human rights violation that is systemic. Yeah. And I think that many people can relate to that, particularly here, because systemic abuses are usually like institutionalized racism, institutionalized indoctrination, institutionalized cultural and identity conversion, whether it is with consent or without consent. But the conversion part of it is the illegal act, which happens because there's no transfer of jurisdiction, there's no documentation that's there supporting any of these allegations that the people here, Kanaka Maoli, are actually of another nation or Native Americans from the United States, So I know that your mana'o also includes the fact that like for instance, in the report that was brought forward, the intro is, Dear Sir and Madams, as you know by now, the Maoli or Kanaka Maoli are not citizens of the United States of America, United States or USA, Inc., nor any part of that foreign confederacy of states in the North American continent. The oppressive occupant administration, which calls itself the state of Hawaii, Inc., is held in place by the United States military and occupancy, which is also a form of abuse. It's systemic human rights violations that are ongoing. That's coming up from the historic point of view, and it's also probably creating conditions and elements today that we see children are living under or dealing with. So the treaties that talk about human rights violations and are there to establish international law for nations with other nations in like human trafficking, for example. The Alun Farms case where they brought all the Thai workers and treated them horribly like slaves right here in Hawaii. And that was allowed to take place here. Now, they have a great case against human rights violations having been committed against them by United States administrative employees, and also their own country that, I don't know the details, but the treaty establishing the international law, which is written in the domestic laws of both nations, they have to be, they're holding penalties to that, which is something that you mentioned as well. Has anyone brought forward complaints that have to do with Hawaii culture? Fishing, limu,
Sure, I have some. I would like to bring focus on that matter. And it's called denying freedom of movement. Denying freedom of movement is when they cut your access to the mountain right away to the ocean. But I'll get more specific with that, because I want to really go and focus on pinpoint and going back on the west side, which is on Amala Village, which we have taken testimonies last month in October. And I find it very disturbing. For one, fishing rights have been literally taken second to jet skis, parasails, so we get into more of a commercial, and then we deny the families, not only Kanaka Maolis, but the Japanese, the Portuguese, the Filipino, the Puerto Ricans, Chinese, and all those ethnic groups suffer from this. It's basically, it's just favoring one over the other. And I'm pointing my finger directly at DLNR on this. You can quote me on this. I find it disturbing because I go back to my childhood days there. And the testimonies that we're taking is like there are sailboats out there. And a lot of our families of all ethnic groups, their ashes are spread in this ocean. Okay, and we have sailboats out there, 40 to 50 of them. Where are they using a bathroom? Our children swims on that shoreline, you know. But it's beyond me the mentality of this DLNR that they can go to that extensive to favor ocean activities over gathering rights.
Over the rights of the family that's been living there, obviously, forever, since,
yes, for generations.
That family in Mala actually is being isolated, and they're having their violations.
Exactly.
It's being caused, activated on, and then caused again, and activated on. So it's also systemic.
It's over and over. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the families there, when we went down there, to get them to speak and to come forward to voice their words, they feel so beat up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're so beat up that they don't want to speak anymore because they're speaking to the state, the city and county, and they got nothing, right? They just get overruled by, mainly for the love of the dollar. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's for the love of the dollar. And this is not only happening in Mala, it's all over these islands. Kipahulu for one, you know, and we're going there on Wednesday. And, so
Wednesday, what time?
3 o'clock, I believe, in the afternoon. We'll be at the Triangle in Kipahulu. Mm-hmm. So you families out there, you know, come forward, speak your manao. Mm-hmm. You are not talking to deaf ears. This is big time, and we're finally getting the recognition on international level, you know. And for us, we already knew that we cannot, the federal is not going to help us. The state not going to help us. The city and county not going to help, including the law enforcement.
Well, they have an interest to benefit from and protect by downplaying and suppressing, in a way, the cultural traditions and customs. Yes. And this has to do with the whole circle of belief and food and fresh water.
Exactly.
And here you talk about the keiki going swimming, and they're learning how to gather their food and how to cultivate and care for the ocean. And then there's 40 to 50 sailboats out there?
Yes. I mean, we go to our reefs. I've been there like 2.5 years up to this last 6-7 months I went back. 2.5 years prior to that, everything was coming back. Everything. The lemur was there. The small fish ponds where babies grow and they grow, right? And they move to deeper water. There is nothing anymore. It really brought tears to my eyes, you know. And I went back there, so you can imagine the ones that live on the shoreline or goes to the shoreline, and where they go and they carry the food, you know, and it is nothing. And I got a lot of family on that side, and I feel for them because it hurts. It really hurts.
Now, what's been happening? Like, what's the DLNR kind of, state?
Basically, they threaten to arrest them if they make any kind of attempt to try to make a change. When you don't have any, when you call the law enforcement and they literally don't show for sometimes, but if these other entities who is in commercial, they call, they'll show up real quick. I
see. So you're seeing a favoritism in the complaints.
So that's just saying it mildly. That's just an understatement. It is definitely just discriminating. It is genocide, to tell you the truth. It is, and it shocks me that it happens right here in our backyard, but it's a fact.
Well, we appreciate the task force doing everything.
Yes.
Doing everything possible, that is.
Exactly. The task force is a blessing for everyone right now. Everyone. You know, so, and although we're new in this, I mean, we just getting rolling. It's been like a month and a half. We're picking up steam, and it's really moving.
And making some impacts.
We're making some impacts.
Definitely. Definitely. So I like to add on Dana's gathering rights, because back in Hana, There's a mountaintop just above where I live at, and I live at Keliku. And all the people in Hana knows that the cinder pit, you know. And the county takes cinders from this area and then takes it down to the rubbish dump where they cover all the rubbish up, you know, because you can't leave it open, you have to cover it up. But the reason why I'm talking about the cinder pit, and everybody knows that in Hana, is that they've been taking and taking and taking, and now it looks like half of that hill is gone. And it looks like half of the hill is going to come down, so I'm looking at a mountain that has been, you know, excavated and taken and taken. So it used to have where people could go up there too and get it, you know. So I had some complaints from people that, oh, Eric, they're taking the hill and they're cutting it up all in pieces, and we can't go up there and take cinders because people have gathering rights, especially the Kanaka Maoli, to go up there and take cinders and, you know, and put it in their yard or whatever. You know, it's happening there, and if you drive into Hana, you could see that hillside. You know, I mean, it's just been taken and taken, and nobody has done anything. There were a lot of times that organizations such as the Hana Community Center tried to do something about it, but couldn't get nothing done about that. You know, the county still takes it and takes it and takes it. And not only there, they have other construction people who have license for construction, and then they hire, you know, all these other people. And what they do is they go down to the beach at Waikoloa and excavate all those pebble rocks to put at people's house and never been charged for it. You know, the Kanaka Maoli has a right to gather. You know,
that sounds like the cultivation of a hazard.
It is. They've been taking and taking.
Right. This is the cultivation.
Been gone on for years. You know.
So it would probably speak to some of the human rights that have to do with not being subject to danger.
Well, if the Konehiki was there, it wouldn't have happened, because the Konehiki's job is to make sure that people don't do such things like that, you know. So, you know, so I see that there's a violation of that, you know. And the Konehiki should stand up. Talking about the Konehiki itself, is that Konehiki usually, you know, takes care of aupua'as, you know. So the old story tells of how they used to take care of aupua'as, and these are one of the violations that I see that they're doing, you know.